I just decided to do this last minute, and I'll probably be going live tomorrow before the launch as well. And yeah, everything seems to be looking good. Um, if we run into any issues, we can always just constantly update things as we move. It's likely that you're going to run into stuff when you launch something that, oh, this is running into this issue or whatever. And so we'll just be updating that as we go. Hopefully the staking and everything runs super smoothly, and direct buy is super easy. And I redid the whole white paper. I spent hours doing that this morning. What's going on, Sean? And so yeah, it's kind of just where this is where the rubber meets the road. As far as launching the project, it's fun to talk about ideas and strategies and all that stuff. But this is where we're going to find out. Does it work? And really, what does it work mean is, what are we as a community going to be able to do with a project like this? And how high or how successful can a community that's working together take a project and make it? And, I've talked about this many times, but we removed the bad actors, right? There's no rug, there's no pump and dump, there's not a strategy or a scheme going on to... Nah, man, your name's Dusher. Sorry on the YouTube chat. This guy's name's definitely Sean Dusher, but he's saying it's Sean Deisher. Okay, but that just looks straight up like Dusher. There's not like a behind-the-scenes strategy to... sorry, I keep calling you Dusher, man. Sorry, Twitter guys. We'll pump it here and then we're going to dump it, right? None of that's going on. We've removed all of those things that prevent this from being designed to fail by people who are looking to rug you and then create another project. That's missing. And then we've just created all these ways for us as a community to be united in the growth of the project, where we all know that as we grow the project, we're building guaranteed value for each other. That's awesome, right? And so, consider that. Consider that most of us are friends here. Consider that you might have friends or family you've gotten in on this. And yeah, guys, make sure to like and share this. Maybe get some more people in here who might want to see launch. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, I think that we'll be able to stand out from a lot of bad stuff in the space, but there is bad stuff in the space that does help projects grow, like large money pumping something in order to get a bunch of other people to buy into it in order to dump on them. We're not doing that. Like a bunch of behind-the-scenes influencers working together to try to coordinate a marketing strategy for something in order to dump on that. There's a lot of bad things that can be done, like you guys know, and there's even more I'm not saying, that can cause projects to do well, and we're just not doing those. We're not paying influencers. I turn down almost every marketing opportunity because I can tell that they just want money and they don't actually care about the project. I'd rather just keep an eye on the people that are committed to the project, and once they've demonstrated it, then I'm like, hey, you're perfect. You actually care about the project, and I'd love to use you to maybe write articles or make merch or run the Telegram or run the Discord or whatever. And so, when it kind of comes to that, I think we're going to stand out, and this is what I hope for when launches, that most of us who've come into this community are thinking long term. There might be some that aren't, and I don't know what the charts are going to look like. I can't do predictions, but I can talk about if it goes one way versus another. I don't think it can go below the pre-sale price, because that would be an amazing deal to most of us. And if it does, I do think that most of us probably would see that as a good deal and would buy that up. But in terms of like where we're trying to get this project in the current market situation and where we're at, like I said, I think we'll stand out in terms of it's not being dumped quickly. That's not what this is. This is not a quick pump and dump. This is a year-long project with people who are committing to a year long. Everybody who goes into the whale pool is saying, I'm committing to this control event. I'm committing to the growth of this project over the period of a year, and I'm taking my portion of what I have in terms of the supply, and I'm committing it to that so that I know I can be rewarded for it and I can help this project grow. So, the first thing that we all can do in terms of trying to make this project stand out from, all of these projects that go up a little bit and then they die, is committing to the staking pool. And so that does put you in a situation where if you do decide to take profit, whenever you decide to do that, whatever it be, the first month or the fifth month or the eighth month, when you unstake, you're going to have an unstaking fee of 30%, and then you're going to have a sell fee of 20%. And so you have to consider that, because if you don't want to do that, you could try to get some monthly rewards and then take profit. But we have to also consider that in order for this project to do well, we have to stand out. And I think it won't take much because of how bad this place is to stand out. But I think that what we're going to see is that at certain points, and this is just me totally guessing, at certain points, we are going to come to potentially a standstill where we maybe don't have this great momentum. And I think at that point, it's just up to us as a community to understand this one thing, is that if those times happen, whether it be stagnant, sideways, or whether we go down a little bit, but not a lot. And I think that future value is going to protect us from going down a lot, because it just, at a certain point, it just becomes profitable to like just buy the token because of those rewards in the future, like you guys have heard me say. And so when it comes to, with the position that we're going to be in, as far as, it's just important that we're all on the same page and that we understand that. And I'm going to be communicating to you guys daily in the Discord, the Telegram, Twitter Spaces, YouTube content to make sure we're on the same page and that we understand this. Because at some point of moving upward, eventually it becomes exponential. It might be hard, and maybe this isn't a great metaphor, to build that snowball and to get it moving a little bit, and then it clumps and then it gets the next bit. But eventually, as we all keep adding to it and we keep pushing it, eventually it'll get that speed and it'll go. Because this project, and when I looked at this project and I go, if SafeMoon or Evergrow, these projects that did blow up with both price and volume, had a structure like this, it would have been insane to watch what happens. If you have hundreds of millions in volume to potentially billions in volume, then you have, tens to hundreds of millions of stablecoin being stored up in the future of the project, and the impact that'll have on keeping the project alive. And not just doing that, as you get closer to that, if people chase that, they kind of increase it. If you're chasing rewards, you're paying into rewards at the same time, and you're helping the sentiment. I've heard some people say, what if the price goes too high? And I'm like, do you realize what the problem you just presented to me? What if the price is too high? That's the problem everybody wants. And so the price being too high, becoming a problem, presents a opportunity for the people who have helped the project succeed to take those profits. And it's designed to be this way. This project is designed to allow for you guys to take profits if you want to at a certain point. Obviously it's at any point. You could go in and sell at a loss at launch. But I meant when you understand the long-term vision, I think we have to understand that in order to reach the levels of success that we're wanting, in terms of we want this high volume, we have to grow to a point of really standing out to the rest of DeFi. And it's possible, and it's there because we have the ability to actually work together to make that happen. It's just overcoming obstacles early on to get to that point. And you guys know that I'm not dumping. I'm not giving away tokens to dump. I don't even want the tokens for the treasury. Like, I'd be totally down to just put those towards the 12-month rewards or burn them or something. You know what I mean? I don't even like the fact that there is tokens in the treasury. But I guess that's Mark's just like, you need to have something in case you do a listing, or for something it's better to have them and not need them, and need them and not have them, that whole ordeal. But I don't even like having them. I'm like, let's just get rid of that. I'm still down to do that. If I said, Mark, if what Mark has coming created that gives people access to Control Token, and it makes it super easily accessible, then I don't see any reason to hold on to those tokens. And maybe it'll be even cooler just to be like, hey, we're adding 66 million tokens to the 12-month rewards. I think that's an amazing idea. And so, yeah, it's all going to be just about understanding and working together as a community. And as long as we're all on the same page and we're all working towards that, then the problem, and I can only speak about this so much, but I really believe that outside of scams and manipulation, projects explode because people have a bullish expectation of the future. It really is that simple. That causes, obviously, the project to grow in a way that just draws in more and more excitement. And I don't see how there people couldn't. I think we're already feel this way with this project, and that as time goes on, the people need to understand that this is kind of the moment where a lot of people are looking this way and they want to see me fail and they want to see this project fail. They can't wait to see a red candle on that chart to post it and say, look at this scammer futter. That's what they're hoping for. They want to see me fail. And it doesn't quite matter as much. That doesn't really matter. Those are people that are wasting their lives on the internet trying to feel good about being hateful towards other people. What matters is that we create a good project that is more fair in the crypto space. Everybody knows what they're doing. It's similar to like going to a casino, and why do you think they have, these big fancy things and they have all this food and free drinks and all stuff? It's because they're scamming you. The odds are heavily in their favor. And I think if they were to make a casino that just had better odds where people could win, it would be a better place. But the odds are so heavily, they have to be by design guaranteed that they pull in millions of dollars in order to build these amazing casinos. And so it's kind of like, yes, it's still crypto. It still has a Ponzi element to it in terms of how a liquidity pool works. It's not Ponzi by my design. I'm countering the design of a liquidity pool. But it's just much better odds, much fairer. For one, we're removing the people that are just straight up scamming you. And two, we're providing a structure that is just more fair, because instead of only going to the people that sell, we're storing up through a large tax. The contract is selling for you guys. It's selling for all of us. That's amazing. Only sellers win, so why not let the contract sell and store it up over a long period of time and give it to the people who are still in the project later on? I think it's a genius idea. I think you guys do too. But when it comes to kind of these obstacles that we're going to come against, I think that it's just going to be marketing. If we're slow and stagnant, it's, hey, marketing. And those of you that want to build your positions, we keep moving upward, we'll get momentum eventually. If it slows down, don't worry. If we pull back a little bit, don't worry. We keep moving forward. We have two very exciting things to work towards, which is the 6-month event and the 12-month event. Everybody will get airdropped their tokens when we launch. Right when we launch, you'll get airdropped your tokens. And you'll be able to go right to the site and stake. And I have probably two things. One thing between now and the 6-month event, and then another thing between the 6-month event and the 12-month event, to kind of give us something kind of exciting to keep us focused on something that benefits the project in between now and the 6-month event. And the 6-month event, that's just an event that sells itself. It's value that's stored up. Even if we suck, there's still going to be good value stored up in the 6-month event. That's the amazing part about this, is even if volume dies, it doesn't matter, because most of the rewards are in the 6-month and the 12-month. It's impossible for the rewards to never be bigger in the 6 and 12-month, even if volume stops, because it's distributed that way. 2% to the month, 4% to the 6-month, 6% of buys to the 12-month, and 11% of sells to the 12-month, plus the 1% going to the whales, plus the unstaking fees, all that jazz. And so, I like this is something that has so much potential to have such an effect on you guys. If this project can do well, everybody in here is going to be significantly impacted by this if this project does well. And unless you get out early or something, or you lose your wallet. And so it's super important that kind of what I was saying earlier is, why does a project succeed outside of manipulation and bad actors? It's because an extremely bullish expectation of the future. And with this project, we have permanent value, and I'm going to be putting out constant content, and that's going to be demonstrating the possibilities of the numbers. It's also going to be demonstrating that we have a floor that moves pretty quickly. If we hit 3.4 million, around 3.4 million, it's hard to guarantee, but it's around it, because it depends on buy volume and sell volume. If there's more buy volume, then it requires more, and if there's more sell volume, then it requires less, but it's not so much that the numbers are way off. But around 3.4 million in volume, everybody in the pre-sale is even, and that means that around 1 million tokens, the demand on that will be around $1,000 to $1,200. Which means that if a million tokens ever went below $1,000, you could buy 800 and know that you have $1,000 worth of rewards in the future. Obviously, as more time goes on and you miss these monthly rewards, then you start to lose a little bit, but the monthly is the smallest part. As long as you do it before the 6 and 12 month, you'll have that, and you know that you have all that time period from now and then for that to go. So it's super important that I do communicate that clearly so that people can understand that pretty much it's probably, if not impossible, very unlikely that as we hit certain volumes that the price will ever hit that price again for that amount of tokens until the next control event, if a massive sell-off happens to bring the price down that low. And I don't know if it will happen. And that's just the reality of it. At 3.4 million in volume, around that, 1 million tokens will be getting you everybody, no matter what you put in the pre-sale. The guy who dropped 60-something thousand at a 3.4 million volume, you'll have about 60,000 and probably more actually because of the whale rewards in guaranteed value with your monthly, your 6-month, and your 12-month all combined, as long as you're staking for those 12 months. If for some reason we didn't see any more volume after 3.4 million, you would guaranteed get all of the value that you put in the pre-sale back at that point. But that's not just for the people doing the pre-sale. That's for everybody. Anybody buying into the project, if the cost of 1 million tokens is $2,000, they can go, oh, it costs $2,000, but I have $1,000 worth of rewards, so it technically only cost $1,000. The thing, I hope that your minds are figuring out what this can do to the project to have that kind of demand on it. Even if it's like, oh, it's 10,000. It costs 10,000, but 1,000 of it, I have 1,000 guaranteed rewards. And people are buying into guaranteed value that can only go up with buys and sells, which is insane to think about. And it might make these prices that people are hoping to use to increase their bags very hard or unlikely to see again. Now, I hope so, because, we would all love, these numbers get amazing if you get 5 million tokens. If you get 5 million tokens and we see 100 million in volume, it's around 150 grand in stablecoin rewards plus the ability to sell your bag. That's awesome for every single person that has 5 million tokens. Back to that 100 million. I don't think that 100 million is not a stupid number to throw out where people just scoff at you or laugh at you, but it is a good number. And I think it's doable, but it really just comes down to the community understanding what it takes to get there. But it may not even, because of what this value does to the psychology and sentiment. And that's really the thing I was trying to say is projects do well because of the bullish sentiment of the future. Projects will go, this is why people will sit on $5,000, $10,000. I mean, I've done it myself, and I told you guys this last time, and I'm sure some of you guys have sat on a lot more than me. With Evergrow, I watched my bag go from $1,400 to $3,000 to $5,000 to $10,000 to $20,000 every time. 30 to 40, 50, 60, 70. People are like, why are you not selling? I'm like, because it's gonna keep going up, dude. It's not stopping here. I can't believe it just keeps going up. I kept saying that all the way up to around 200 grand. And so other people, I went and checked the holders list, were sitting on millions and millions and millions of dollars. Why do they sit on millions and millions of dollars? Because they have a bullish expectation of the future. And if a structure like this had been put in place that basically creates this situation where if or when the sell-off does happen, everybody left might feel that hit to their bag of, oh, I missed that. But typically in a taxless project, when you miss that, it's abandoned ship. The party's over. Get out. But now, because we have a system that shifts so much value to the future when sell-offs happen, it creates kind of the opposite. It's like, eat that dip, instead of abandon ship, it's like, let's eat that dip. Now we'll see if that's the psychology and sentiment, but it's likely that people will feel that way, especially when you have to consider that as we grow and people are understanding these rewards, there will be a point where people are buying into the project right before somebody takes profit, and it's going to tank it either below or far below where they entered. And it's at that point where they understand that person who just sold forfeited all their rewards, paid into the rewards, and provided a cheaper entry point than the one that they previously got. And do they think it's going to go lower, or do they think it's going to come back up? And I don't know what that's going to look like in the future. But ultimately, I do just basically feel like the success of this project, of what we want it to be, is going to involve very simply communication. Like that, I think that's all it is. Communication and working through potentially stagnant times, working through times where the prices might be low, or it might go low. We might go up a lot and it comes back a little bit. And we all in this project, you actually have reason to be bullish. We've watched other taxless projects where the price goes down and they go, oh, buy the dip. This is a 5-year hold, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, man, if people had thought that way, if they had a structure like this, they wouldn't have had to deceive themselves into buying the dip. They could have just been like, no, there's future value that I'm building my bags towards. And so as you build your bags, you're building your share of all those rewards, and you'll be able to sell those tokens after you get your rewards, unless it goes up so much that you decide that it's worth it to unstake and sell and forfeit your rewards. And so I think it's awesome to have both those opportunities for you guys, and for everybody who's in the project, that you can get those rewards. And if it goes up enough, where say you get to $1 million, say we do that hypothetically, and you're staked, and say your rewards are like 100 grand. And so okay, I could sell now, and after all the fees, I could get like 500K. Or I could hold, get my rewards, and then sell, and maybe the price will be higher, maybe it'll be lower, but we'll see. That's what is going to be going on inside of your guys' minds. But it's likely that if we do go up a lot, that people will decide they want to take profits. It's just, in this project, it's going to work a lot differently than any other project. You're going to be like, okay, if I'm staked in the staking pool, that's 30%. If I had $1 million, that's 300 grand that goes right back to everybody in the project. That goes right to the 12-month pool, the unstaking fees. And then 20%, well, that's like another 150 grand that goes back to the rewards. And then they're forfeiting their rewards, and then they're getting about $500,000, a little over $500,000 if they're selling for $1 million and unstaking out of the whale pool. And it's like, hey, you still had this opportunity to turn a small amount of whatever you put in into a large amount if we hit that, right? And that's awesome, and I want you to be rewarded for it, but we can't sacrifice the project in order to benefit a few people. We need to create a structure that grows, and that people can be confident in the future growth of the project, and that's what this does. And so at that point, that person could take a mindset and say, well, I'm selling, and man, I wish this was a taxless project because I'd be getting the whole $1 million. And if somebody were to say that, and I'm sure somebody will if we do well and we get to that point, I would say, do you think that a taxless token could have got you here? Do you not realize that? Go back to the rest of DeFi. That's why I tell people when they say they don't like this project, I'm like, you don't have to be in it, and I prefer you to not be in it if you don't like it, because I want people who believe in the long term and working together and working towards value that benefits everybody. And if you don't believe in that, then I'd rather you not be in the project, even if you're my friend. Like, don't do it to support me. I'm trying to build a community of people that can take a project to the level that they want to see it go. And so you have the rest of DeFi, and you guys know what that's like out there. You know what it's like to get pump and dumped, rugged, be exit liquidity, buy at the wrong times. I've played it a little bit, and I've made a little bit of profit here and there, but hitting a right one, a big one, that's not easy to do, right? Or none of us would be here. We'd be off in our mansions. And so I think this project it's what we need to be able to work together as a community, because a taxless project will not allow for that. There's too much power given to the people at the top to destroy a project. Even if a team and community is working towards growing that project, those people are rewarded and incentivized for destroying the project. You guys have heard me say that 1 billion times. Their only incentive is whoever pulls out the value first wins. Whoever doesn't pull out that value loses. That's the game. And everybody abandons ship when that happens. And so the community and the whales can't be united in the future growth of the project. Well, not only do we have a structure because we're naturally doing that. There's actual value that you're forfeiting when you go to sell, no matter who you are. You're forfeiting that share of your value, even if you're not staked. If you're not staked, you have a share of value where you could stake at any moment. There is not a point in time where you couldn't come in and stake the 12-month up until the last minutes of the 12-month rewards. You could come in, stake to the 12-month and get those 12-month rewards. That provides an awesome opportunity for people to come in at the end and buy up large amounts of the supply and stake it to try to get those rewards, which this just protects it from a sell-off to a certain point. Like I said, there's so many crazy implications to all of this, and we're just finally going to get to see what it looks like. But ultimately, everybody committing to the staking pool is kind of making a commitment from short-term profit to a long-term sacrifice. And you guys know how life works. A lot of the times, the short-term pleasures do not result in happiness. It's that long-term sacrifice that results in something good. Short-term, you can eat junk food. Yeah, you feel great, and then you feel like crap, and you look like crap, and you're not happy, and you can't find somebody, and all that jazz, right? And you have health problems. You work out, you suffer, you sacrifice. That long term, you feel great, you look great, you're attractive, you're attracting the kind of partner you want to be with. That's how life works, right? Short term, play video games, feel good for a moment. Long term, work on a hobby, work on a project, put effort into a person. That's something that lasts long term. So obviously everybody here understands that probably even better than me, some of you guys, because you're a lot older and have a lot more experience in life. And I'm just saying, let's take that approach with the crypto project. You can look at this as a short-term, quick profit, and nobody can stop you from doing that. The system will you'll forfeit your rewards and you can sell. Or you can look at this as a long-term play. And the more of us, why does my voice do this when I do these spaces? The more of us that commit to the staking pool, the more that we can all be bullish on the future of the project. Now, there are benefits to people not committing to the staking pools, because if they don't, then you're getting their rewards. Now, especially if you look at the whale staking pools, then everybody who doesn't come in and commit to the 12-month staking pool, they're forfeiting all those rewards. They're forfeiting, and they're the largest shares of those rewards, these whales, right? And so by not committing to the 12-month staking pool, they're greatly increasing the rewards for everybody else, and especially the whales who are in the 12-month staking, because not only are they getting those rewards for everything else, but they're getting this extra 1% every 3 months. And then at the end, the unstaking fees are fueling 2 reward events. 15%, and we had to change these numbers a little bit, but not much. 15% of the unstaking fees for everybody, the whales and the regular unstaking fee, go towards the 12-month pool for everybody. So 15% of everything that gets unstaked goes towards this 12-month pool for everybody. And then 15% of everything that gets unstaked, the other 15% goes only to the whales that have 1.2 million staked in the 12-month pool when the 12-month reward event happens. And so it's a way to create this situation where we all can, as we enter the pool, if you have that 1.2 million pool stake tokens, gosh, I wish I could keep my voice right now. We understand that each other is committing to the long term of the project in a way that if they leave early, they're forfeiting a ton of value to the future of the project that really fuels the future of the project. And so that creates this sense of confidence. It's like being like, hey, I'll do it if you do it. I don't know if you ever had those moments with a friend where you're like, something you shouldn't do that's maybe a little risky, a little crazy, and you're like, hey, I'm in if you're in. And that's kind of how I see this a little bit, in a sense, is like, hey, I'll commit to that 12-month if you do. And the more of us that do, the more we understand this many people are committed to the 12-month supply. And the more that everybody else who's not in this staking pool goes, hey, all of our big holders are committed to the 12-month pool, and if they leave, they have to forfeit their rewards, pay an unstaking fee, and pay a sell fee. And so remember when I'm making this point that it's all about the bullish sentiment of the future of the project that will allow the project to grow to the volume and growth that we all want to see it happen. And so we all have control over that sentiment based on how we interact with the project. The control that we have is the tokens you hold and the effort you put into the project, engaging with people's content and creating your own content. and any other opportunities that you might be able to provide for the project. But the number one thing that you have that controls the sentiment of the project is what you do with your share of those tokens. And it's up to you. You know, this is why we threw different strategies out there. Do what's best for you, but also understand that the more we all focus on the project, the better it's going to do and the better it can be for you in the long run. To keep aside like a quarter or a small bag or a separate bag for taking profits, so that you have something for taking profits, but you also are in the 12-month pool. It's up to you to decide that. But yeah, just as long as everybody understands that this is an opportunity where if most of us commit to the staking pool, that alleviates a ton of sell pressure, and it drastically increases the bullishness, and it allows for us to move upward. And at some point of moving upward, it becomes exponential. It starts to just take off like a wildfire. We saw it with the pre-sale. I was like, hey, we raised 10 grand. That's awesome. I was happy. Oh, cool. We raised 20. It was slow and stagnant. And then it was like 20, 30. And then some of you guys were doing the spaces. And then I started putting out content on the math. And then it went to 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. It would have kept going. We could have filled the pre-sale. And I know we could have filled that pre-sale if I had waited and kept marketing those numbers, because I knew those numbers were so good, because they are so good, and they're still really good, and they'll still continue to be good for quite a while. The price would have to go up a ton for these numbers to start to be not the greatest, and that's a good problem to have for a project. And so as long as everybody understands this, and that's why I think it's so important that we all understand this and kind of pull out of what your typical experience with the crypto is. And you may not have to do that, because knowing this value in the future might naturally cause people to do that. But I just think communication, understanding, being on the same page, understanding the team around you that's supporting you, all of you guys, Mitch Bromwell, the people running the Discord, the people putting effort into writing articles and making content. This is the community that you have around you, that we're all working towards a project that can be successful in a terrible place, that benefits all of us and everybody who keeps the project alive. It benefits the people who do leave the project, and it benefits everybody who's in the staking pools being rewarded for helping keep the project alive. And so it just really comes to understanding that a bullish expectation of the future, and understanding that at a certain point of moving upward, it'll take off. It did in the pre-sale, and I think we just kind of demonstrated the power of Control Token. There isn't a better reward project. I don't just say that to say that, and I'm not stupid. It just literally is the best reward project because of how it's done. By shifting value away from the people destroying the project and to the people that keep it alive in a significant way. You guys heard me in the last space, all of the ways that we increase that value, delaying it, only giving it to stakers, and appreciating stablecoin, all of those ways greatly increase it. And by having a higher tax by 18 cell, that's a high tax. But it's important that people understand that when you're telling people about that tax, it's not really a tax. It's just, instead of that value going towards the LP, the value is going towards the rewards that keep the project alive. It's super important that people understand that, and that they see it that way. If it goes to the LP, it's going to work like a pyramid scheme. It's only really going to benefit the people at the top who sell. If it goes towards the future, it's going to allow a community and a sentiment that can be bullish on the future of the project, because there's real guaranteed value in the future. And, I make this point that if you watch projects, and I'm not trying to crap on projects, but I'm trying to be real. And sometimes you end up crapping on stuff when you're being real. When a project doesn't do well in DeFi, they resort to utilities. We're working on this utility, and if it does this well, it's going to generate this kind of revenue, and if that does well, it's going to go back to the charts, and if the charts go up a lot, then you're going to have a chance to sell. And it's like, maybe if this thing succeeds and it generates enough revenue, and the owners decide to give that back to the project, and it's enough to affect the charts, and it's enough to get you to a point where you might be able to sell, and you're able to sell before somebody else does, then you can get some value. Like, that's what people are hoping in. And I'm saying, what if you just took something that's way more powerful in utilities, which is a project growing? That's why these SafeMoon and Evergrow, without any utility, were able to hit billions in volume and these insane market caps with zero utility, zero profit from revenue. It was because of the ideas. And I'm connected to both those projects. I helped people in SafeMoon save money. I helped people in Evergrow make money because I showed them the numbers of how good Evergrow was. And it's no offense to Evergrow. Evergrow is an amazing project, and I love Evergrow, and I still support it. But I do think this project is far superior in terms of what it's doing, because once Evergrow was giving out all that value to everybody, and it was amazing. The rewards were awesome. I got thousands of dollars in rewards, and I was able to sell my bag. That's a win. I consider Evergrow a win. I don't think it's a bad project. It was a stepping stone to what potentially might be a better project in a different way, because of what I learned from Evergrow, because of the stablecoin. That what if we pulled all that stablecoin value away from the whales, and we said, if you guys are leaving, we're storing that up in the future, right? And you're going to pay into this. You're going to pay a lot into that, not just 8%, but 18% on a sell. That's a lot, right? That's a lot for sells. So that when people see those sells on the charts, they can know that's a lot of value going into the future of a project. It's super important that people understand that. And so it puts me in this situation where I got to see and experience what happened with both these communities. I got to intimately connect with these communities of Evergrow and SafeMoon by making content and getting into what they want to hear and doing spaces and talking to them and comments. And a lot of people, I was interacting with, thousands of people through this content and through these spaces. And I got to see what they want. I got to get into their minds and the psychology. And I realized the problem. And I realized that the problem is such a small amount of people are winning and everybody else is kind of losing. And I realized that it's not just that that's a problem, it's the problem that causes the project to not do well. And so it happened to be that when I went to seek out with such a simple idea, how do we pull value away from these guys leaving the project and give it to people that are keeping the project alive? Such a simple thing started to create all of these crazy implications. And I had people tell me, you can't have a high tax. And I'm like, dude, it's not about having a tax for the sake of having a tax. It's if we're only doing 1 or 2% of to rewards, then 90 something percent of the value is going to the LP, and they have no incentive to chase those rewards. But if we do 13% of buys and 18% of sells, then that value can become very significant. Then it can raise the floor of the demand of the token with only 3.4 million in volume to make it so that the price cannot go below what the pre-sale price was without people just buying directly into reward profit. Then we start to get these crazy numbers where you're getting $600 per billion in volume per 1,000 tokens, which only cost $1 per 1,000 tokens. Whereas with SafeMoon, it was 1 billion tokens with $1 billion in dollars got you $50. So that if you put $1,000 into Control token, which gets you $1 million, and we see $1 billion in volume, it's $300,000. And that value can't be devalued by the whales selling. We're going to continue to explore all the implications of a project like this. And the better it does, the crazier this is going to get. Because not only do you have the permanent value in the future, your share of that permanent value, but you also have your bag. And so you have these two things that as the project is growing, your excitement of both this permanent value that you have that can't go down, that's this hedge, this protection if a sell-off happens, that worst case scenario, you've got that, right? I don't know what it'll be or what it'll look like. Obviously, there's going to be more value in your bags for a while, unless we have sideways action. Sideways action, eventually the rewards become greater than the value in the LP. But it's likely that there will be times where the value of your bag is going to be a lot more than the value of the rewards, because, and I've said this before because I'm trying to be as transparent as possible about this, because usually there's no benefit to deceiving people. There's no benefit to hiding something. When the price of your bag goes up, nobody's getting that except for the people that sell. And the people that sell are getting their share of that based on the proportion amount of tokens they have, their ability to pull that value. And then it negatively impacts everybody else's bag. And so, but the rewards in the future, it's similar to it's your share of it based on the amount that you have staked in getting it. So we're sharing the rewards in the future, but when you sell, you're just pulling, I guess it still is pulling your share of the value of what you could pull out of it. So I guess there still is an element of sharing that value, but it's only you winning as opposed to the future value is guaranteed. All these people are sharing it. Anyways, guys, I'm excited for the launch tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen, but all I know is that as long as we work together as a community, I think that we can get to where we want to be. And hopefully it comes super fast, right? Hopefully it's exciting and we get that momentum and take off. But the markets aren't insane right now. The markets aren't on fire. Bitcoin keeps pulling back. You know, we're expecting these new runs to all-time highs, which will take BNB to its all-time high. BNB is about $200 down from its all-time high of 700. It's about down to 500. Yeah, we raised 979 BNB, and we could have fulfilled that. We could have got to a 2,000 BNB. I know we could have. And so if Bitcoin does start to go up, then BNB will go up, and that'll help Control Token because Control Token will be going up. There's also the fact that these rewards are appreciating. It's a lot of extra things that's like, holy cow. Not only do we have all these rewards in the future, but they appreciate. And we also have the unstaking fees that can fuel those rewards too, of people who chasing the rewards, but then the price goes up so much that they find it worth it to pay those unstaking fees, sell fee, and get that value. And so, yeah, it's just going to come down to, you know, I want to make this work for you guys. I want to make a successful project, and I want to make something that benefits more people while providing what you guys actually are looking for. You guys are looking for a project that blows up and does well. That's what I wanted this to be. That's what I designed it to be. When I was designing it was, you know, how do we pull value away from people who destroy the project and keep it alive, and what stops projects from growing, and when do projects grow? Well, they usually grow in the beginning, and usually it's bad actors or whales who stop that, and so we remove one and then we address the other. And so when anyone goes to sell, they have value on the other side of that sell. It's not just you sell like a taxless project, and the only thing you're worried about is what if it goes up more? What if it went from $1 million to 2 million to 5 million to 10 million? That's the only fear you have. With this one, you're like, I'm not just forfeiting the potential of my bag to go up further, but I'm also forfeiting this guaranteed value that can only go up as volume happens, that can only appreciate, and that can only have more staking things. And the more time period between when you're doing it and the reward event, especially the 12-month event, the more likely that you understand that there is a ton more time for volume to happen. But like I said, when those sell-offs do happen, if we do well and a sell-off happens, everybody who typically just goes, crap, I wish I would have sold, and they get upset, instead they go, I've got my permanent value in the future. You know what I mean? As long as it's significant and depending on what you put in. And these numbers are insane. You know what I mean? If we hit, 100 million in volume for everybody who has 1 million tokens, or for every 1 million tokens you hold, if we hit 100 million in volume, it's 30 grand of stable coins stored up for those 12 months. And like I said, if you miss the first few months, it might be a little bit less, but there's other factors, but it's around 30 grand. I'm not including the whale pool rewards. I'm not including the unstaking fees. I'm not including the fact that it appreciates. And that's an insane claim to make, that for every single person who has 1 million tokens staked in the 12-month pool, that no matter what happens after 100 million in volume, they have a guaranteed 30x of their initial investment waiting for them at the end of the year, whether that 100 million happens in the first couple months or whether it happens over the span of 12 months. You'll have 30 grand at the end, a 30x guaranteed for every single person who has 1 million tokens who can make that claim. I haven't seen a project be able to make a claim like that. And if you imagine that if we ever hit 1 billion in volume, which is like the ultimate goal, like I would consider 100 million a success, but I would consider 1 billion, like we should aim for 1 billion if we can. If we can get to 1 billion in volume, then this project is crazy, right? And other projects do kind of see billions in volume, but we do have a high tax. So it just kind of comes down to understanding that tax is a good thing. The tax is for your protection. And I hope that people understand, tax, bad thing. People take my money and it hurts me. No, the tax is keeping the project alive. It's incentivizing everybody to keep the project alive and to help it grow. And so, yeah, 1 billion in volume for everyone who has 1 million tokens, or for every 1 million tokens you have, $300,000 with a stablecoin, appreciating stablecoin stored up in the future. Selling the token does not devalue this stablecoin. Selling the stablecoin appreciates the stablecoin more than buying it, meaning that everyone who's selling XUSD is increasing the value of everyone else's XUSD. Now, if you had 3 to 4 million tokens and we ever hit 1 billion in volume, everyone who has 3 to 4 million tokens, if we hit 1 billion in volume, which is a tall order, a very tall order, right? I'm not saying that's easy or going to happen, but if it happens, everyone who had 3 to 4 million tokens would have around 1 million to 1.2 million in guaranteed rewards at the end of the year. And so even if they miss their chances, and this should really resonate with some of you guys or anybody who's coming in new, if you've ever sat on tens to hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars and then you round tripped it, this should really resonate with you, because what we're doing is we're creating a protection in the situation that we do go up a lot and you get excited about that value, and instead of round tripping it all the way down and just feeling like I can't take this out because it's got to go back up, or I'm not going to sell it at this small of an amount while it's got that, you can be like, hey, worst case scenario, I've got this value in the future. I've got this 100 grand that, yes, I missed out on a million, but I've got this 100 grand. That's an amazing structure to have, and especially the fact that it can only grow. And so, yeah, I just, I'm probably not going to take up anybody tonight, but I'm super confident in you guys. A lot of you guys, you're all on the same page as me, and I can see it. If there's anybody who's not and they're being quiet in the background, that's fine. As long as most of us are on the same page, we can recover from sell-offs. We can move past this. And as long as we keep working upward, eventually that momentum will explode, I believe. And this project will become what we all want to see it become. So yeah, guys, it's the pre-sale, or not the pre-sale. The launch is tomorrow at 6. I have a video scheduled at 5:30. The website will go live. We'll launch. I'll be live streaming the charts. I'll be looking at the website. I'll be making a how-to video on how to stake. It should be so easy that you shouldn't need one, but I'll make one anyways. I'll make a video how to buy and stake Control Token and just get it all knocked out in one. And then and then from there is, it might be ironing out, maybe something's not working on the website, something's not working with staking, just those little issues we get that I have to iron out with the web dev and I have to iron out with Mark. And then from there on, it's just us as a community pushing this thing into success. And I think we have an amazing structure to make this happen and to overcome those hurdles. And I'll be there with you guys to be like, where are we at? What does it look like? What do we need to do? Do we need more marketing? Do we need a bigger push? Do we need to do giveaways? Do we need to, what is it we need to do to push this to the next level? Because as long as, and like I said, and I'll finish it on this, as long as we keep going up, eventually we start to stand out. It won't take long for us to stand out from most projects that are just dumping within a couple days, by the way. Immediately we should stand out. And then as long as that keeps going, we'll continue to stand out. And at a certain point, it'll be those magic moments that we want to see, that we all want to see. And I want that for you guys. And I'll be so confident and happy to say I made this project. Sorry, I got something caught in my throat. I wasn't crying. It's like I ate some chips and it stuck in my throat. I made this project that benefited all of these people. Like, I can feel good about this project knowing that it benefited not just the sellers, but it benefited all of these people who were in the staking pool. I can feel very good about making a project like this. And yeah, I'm super excited about launch tomorrow. I hope you guys have a great day. Anybody has any questions, shoot me a DM. I'll do my best to answer it. I'm just going to be working with Mark. I worked almost all day on a bunch of stuff for Control Token. And yeah, hopefully everything goes smoothly. If we run into any issues, guys, all we can do is just deal with it and overcome it. That's all we can do. We can get upset and give up if something happens, or we can work together and overcome it and push forward. Hopefully we don't have anything, but just being in crypto long enough, some things come up, right? Drama happens, stuff happens, but I don't want to say that it's going to happen, but I just want to be ready if it happens. It's like just life, you know what I mean? You don't want to say bad things are going to happen, but you should kind of try to be ready for them if they do. Anyways, shout out to Mitch Bromwell, Agosaurus. Okay, we've got one requested. Sam, I'll bring you up real fast, and then I'm going to go ahead and end the space. How's it going, Sam? You're muted, Sam.
Okay, can you hear me?
There you go. Hey, what's going on?
Hey. Great. As always, it's very exciting. I really like the space that you did today because it actually really opens up to explaining how it's really important for us all to understand and stick together and actually serve the purpose of what you're trying to aim and trying to do. I'm pretty sure it's going to work very well. my question is same question as last time. Tomorrow is the launch. At right about 6 o'clock p.m. You're gonna share the wallet, or not the wallet, where my other people can purchase.
You just brought up an amazing point
That's
that
gonna be 6 o'clock, right?
yeah, you just brought up something amazing that I just realized is that
Please.
a lot of these reward projects, people want to get their tokens as quickly as possible because they are getting rewards. And so you guys don't have to worry about that. The rewards aren't going out to you until the end of the month. And so
Oh, okay.
whether it takes you 10 minutes or hours or even a couple days to stake, that's not going to impact you. Because the rewards don't come out until the month. So even if you waited until the beginning of, or right before, the day before those rewards come out next month, and then stake in the 12-month pool, you won't be missing any rewards. You'll just be hitting your unstaking fee, falling off a month after the control event. So you don't. There's no advantage to rushing and getting your tokens into the staking pool. You should do that. You know, I mean, you should if you're going to do it, you should do it as early as possible because only for the sake of the earlier you do it, the earlier you'll be able to sell if you want to sell at the end of the year next year without an unstaking fee. That's kind of the game of the staking pool. Otherwise, there's not some rush to get your tokens and do something with them. The only thing that you might be rushing on when we launch is if you're trying to buy tokens, and yeah.
Okay, great. Yes, that was my concern. But also, if let's say my uncle is gonna come in tomorrow p.m., 6 p.m. when we just launch, and my cousin is gonna come in a week from now when the price is completely different, he's gonna get much less tokens, correct? To be able to stake or not to stake doesn't matter.
If the price goes up a lot, yeah. If it goes down, then
up,
you get
okay.
more, yeah.
Okay, so again, tomorrow 6 p.m. you launch, and then where do we find the address for the wallet?
You don't have to worry about that, man. That's all going to be broadcasted on every social media. I'm going to be live with it.
There you go.
It's going to be on Discord, Twitter, Telegram, YouTube. I'm going to be live giving it out. I'm going to be looking at the charts. I'm going to be posting a video. It's going to be in the...
Okay.
Just, definitely don't do it. Don't, be careful about all the scammers trying to get you to do something. You don't ever rush to do anything. If you're trying to buy quickly tomorrow, you could do it through the website, or you just wait until you get the contract address from me, and you do it through PancakeSwap. So, yeah.
Great, yeah, because I apparently right after the pre-sale was over, I have close to over 12 people now, 13, 15 people that wants to come in. I'm like, okay, well, as soon as they start it, I'll tell you where to get it, how to buy it, and that they did not come in when the pre-sale was going on. But anyway, thank you. I'm excited about tomorrow.
No problem, Sam. Yeah, and like I said, guys, we have a great community behind us. We're not going to be maxi delusional. We're not doing that game, and I mean, people in the community might, but I'm not going to allow it. And so, but just remember that we have a great community behind us, and we're working towards that growth. And there's just this sense of, it's like when you go work a hard job and it sucks, but you've got your friends there, or maybe you're in the battlefield, but you've got your people there, there with you. And it just, those people being there makes all that difference. And we have a great group of people. We've got Mitch Bromwell, who's literally works on rocket ships. We've got doctors in here. We've got marketers, YouTubers, math people, people who are just super excited, putting in a lot of effort. And so, there's just this, I want to shift the confidence away from the team onto the community, because the community really is the powerful thing. And I think we can do this, guys. I think we have an amazing structure where I'm already really confident because of the structure that with only a little bit of growth, we start to secure floors of the price won't go below that for another year. Otherwise, it's free money for anybody to just buy because of those rewards. So that's a crazy level of confidence to have in a project. But are we going to explode off of launch and see millions of volume? I don't know. I have no idea. It's my first project. But all I know is that whether we see a little bit of volume or we see a good amount of volume or we see a ton of volume, all the goal is no matter where we're at as a community is to work forward and upward, and to understand that no matter how bad things go or good things go, we work forward and upward. Eventually it's going to pay off, and eventually it's going to take off. So yeah, you guys have a great night, and I'll see you guys on launch day, and I'll catch you guys in the morning.